This week on Go, I got a furry little friend. Hi. Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Jonathan Horst.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to an in-studio episode of Go on Shaw TV. Now, normally on Go, I go out in the community and host on location. Not this week though, because recently I stumbled across a piece of footage from Oprah, you know, the one where Tom Cruise jumps on the couch, and it got me thinking, why don't I have my own talk show? How hard can it be? I love talk shows! So now in many talk shows I've watched, I think they start off with a monologue, so I've done that. And now we're going to show you a funny animal clip that our producers have chosen for you. Oh, that's cute. Okay, that's done. Now, speaking of animals, let me introduce our guests we have this week. We have Bob Smurfett and Kyle Laurie, who are going to be showcasing animals at the Wildlife Festival at Heritage Park, November 7th and 8th. And they've brought a couple of special guests as a preview of that. So what have you guys brought for us today?
Well, what we have right now, this is Daphne. She's a 1-year-old female peregrine falcon.
Oh, wow.
Fastest animal on the planet. Very common in this area of British Columbia, found all up and down the canyons, even breeding up in near Abbotsford and even in Chilliwack here.
Really?
They are strictly a bird eater, so they just eat avian birds like starlings, pigeons, all types of dunlins on the North Shores.
Wow. And what do you have here, Kyle?
Right here, this is a savanna monitor. So these guys are actually native to Africa. But this one here we bring around, she's just such a doll. It's a female savanna monitor. Her name is Savvy, and then we just bring her around. She's, as you can see, very docile.
Yeah.
Not very common in the monitor world where you'll get one that's this docile. But this is one of our big babies here, so we can pet her, play with her, and she's one of our very interactive animals for people to see at the festival.
Yeah, I guess I'm really curious about what's going to be happening at the Wildlife Festival on the weekend.
Well, what it is, it's two separate companies together. So it's the Canadian Raptor Conservancy, and we are located in Port Dover, Ontario. And then we also have Little Ray's Reptile Zoo that's out of Ottawa. And it's going to be two separate presentations. So we'll have a free flight bird demonstration. We'll have a couple of hawks, owls. We'll have something bigger. Keep that a little bit of a surprise. And then there'll be other presentations by Little Ray's crew.
Yeah, so we basically present animals. We talk a lot about conservation. What you can do here in your own backyard to help basically save the planet, save the wildlife in it. We also talk about responsible pet ownership and just really cool animal facts at the same time.
Well, I want to start with this savanna monitor. That's how you say it?
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about what this animal is.
So basically, these guys are basically a big lizard. And this here is a female, and they'll get to about 3 to 4 feet. Males will get a little larger. But as you can see, they have this flat spot on their head. So basically to show dominance, they'll step on each other's heads, and whoever's the strongest one will be able to be the dominant one. Now a fight will ensue, but basically that's how they're going to start it, is just by pressing down, and that's how they're going to figure it out.
And if the head, so does it like the head, does the head get crushed in if it's
No,
not
not at all, not at all. They're very, very strong. It's just
okay.
a matter of seeing who's stronger, right?
Interesting.
But their jaw is where their power is, and their tail. So they can whip with their tail if they want to. You can feel the tail, and just imagine,
Oh my
right,
gosh,
if they
that
were
would
to
hurt, yeah.
smack with that, it would hurt. And they could also bite with their jaw. They'll eat something called the African land snail. Just by chewing on it, they'll break it. If you were to step on an African land snail, it wouldn't even crack, and they'll just chew on it.
Pet it?
Yeah, we
Right,
can pet
so right
anywhere
here?
but the head.
Oh, so
yeah,
like
just
right
down there. Exactly, yeah.
So they don't
feel
like
them.
being touched in the head then because of the...
It's like
The head
it's
stomping?
just you meet new people and they keep poking you in the face, so it kind of get annoying. So we just keep away from the head and just get them just touch their back. They're very, very docile, very calm. And then as you can see, this one here has these white marks on the back.
Yeah.
And that's actually from a light. So this was a rescued pet. We're actually Canada's largest reptile rescue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we basically take animals in who they don't realize how big they get. This one here, the person decided to have a great pet, and then it got bigger, the enclosure was too small, the light was too strong, and it unfortunately burnt her whole back.
Oh, wow.
As you can see, it's healed, and it doesn't affect her anymore, but that's one way we teach about very responsible pet ownership.
How many reptiles have you rescued, or do you have right now?
We have just over 800 in our care, so just over 800 animals, and people think, a turtle or a tortoise would be a great pet, and you're looking at an average lifespan for anywhere from 60 to 150 years. So you're basically committing to
life.
To life.
Death do us part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you should care for an animal their entire life, and they'll outlive you. So you can't really commit to that. So we strongly believe that animals do belong in the wild when they can be. But if you decide to get a pet, just to do your research and make sure to know what you're getting into.
So if you want to see exotic animals, you'd probably go to the wildlife festival.
Yeah, like having a tiger or a lion as a pet is definitely not a good idea.
No.
Having a 25-foot python, terrible idea. So we teach that in our presentations for sure.
Or if you're really passionate about the bird, you could get into falconry. Tell me a little
Exactly.
about-
But even just getting into falconry and all that, again, it's something that takes up all of your time.
Yeah.
Right? This is not something that you can pick up on the weekend or something like that. With me, I've been doing this for, like I said, almost 15 years now. And I've talked to so many people that's like, oh, they see the birds and they're like, oh, that's so cool, I want to do it, I want to do that. All of a sudden you start explaining. You're talking about something that's going to take up all of your time. You can't go on vacations. You can't just say, hey, can you take care of my bird while I go on vacation for the next 2 weeks? Doesn't always work that way. So luckily for me, I've had some amazing friends that when I'm in that type of bind, they can take care of my birds, but you have to have that social networking for that to happen. And it's just the overall time expenditure to training a bird, to putting in all that time and effort into it is something that not many people understand and realize. They just see a cool bird and they say, oh, I got a cool pet. These things are not pets. They're not social animals like a parrot or even crows or anything like that have a social structure in the wild. Something like peregrine falcons, they only come together for two main reasons, mating and for fighting. That's the only times they have physical contact with each other. So even though she's nice and calm here, she's also been properly handled and trained to be calm. When she's flying and hunting, she's doing that. She acts like a peregrine.
But has it been worth all the time and effort for you?
For certain times, yes. Other times you're into it and just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? But then also when you see it come together and when you start doing the educational work and you start seeing people, you're giving the light bulb into their heads, like conservation. Oh, there's that bird I always see on the lamppost. Oh, that's a red-tailed hawk. I never knew that. Or even in other areas where people have like other reptiles, tortoises, giant reticulated pythons, and think, oh, that's a great idea as a pet. All of a sudden, Paul's Little Ray's group and starts explaining that, you kind of change their idea about things. And that itself has been a true benefit and something that I cherish doing.
So stick to cats and dogs and come to the wildlife festival.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
But even then, cats and dogs, they have their own
That's true, yeah.
requirements. Everybody's, one of the big things at Easter time, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to get a little rabbit for Easter. The humane societies and shelters every single year are overridden by people getting something like a little rabbit. All of a sudden, kids get bored with the rabbit after 10 days or whatever it is. They go send them off to the animal shelters, or they do the irresponsible thing and let the animal go. Just look at Victoria. Victoria is overridden by domesticated rabbits that have been let go, and they cause infrastructure damage by burrowing under the highways, digging up roads, digging up lawns. And that in itself is something that people don't think about, the consequences to their actions.
Now, I haven't had a chance to get to know your falcon a little more. So tell me a little bit about her.
Well, Daphne, she's a 1-year-old female peregrine falcon. She is what we consider a subadult. So she has every single year they molt out their feathers, so they lose their feathers. With her, she lost all of her baby plumage. She only has a few feathers here that are brown. It's kind of hard to see against her blue back here. And she would reach sexual maturity in about another 2-3 years. Okay. She was born in captivity, so she was not taken from the wild. And the females in the bird of prey world, generally speaking, are a third larger than the males. So a female or a male peregrine would be something like this on her.
Oh, interesting.
And obviously one of the big things that you can see on her, she has a hood on her head. The hood is something that's been around for about 2,500 years. And it's just a way to calm the bird down. It's kind of acts like putting a blanket over a parakeet cage or putting blinders on a horse. I can still take it off.
Oh, hello.
So that's her and all of her beauty. She has big eyes, obviously for seeing her prey. They have, much like many reptiles, they have a third eyelid called the nictitating membrane. So that membrane goes across their eyes, and when they're going in their dives, that it can go 320 kilometers an hour. This will deflect all debris that could damage their eyes. Now she's looking at the monitor like, what are you?
Well, certainly fascinating stuff, and there's definitely probably a lot more to see on the weekend. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us and show us your really awesome animals.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Appreciate you having us.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.